Good evening. It is 7:01. Welcome to the Bedminster Township Committee meeting. This is our regularly scheduled Township Committee meeting. However, we are meeting on Tuesday rather than Monday due to President's Day holiday. Recognize that we have a quorum of Township Committee members with Committeeman Stevenson, Committeeman Hickey, Committeewoman Reski. Joining me here in person, Committeewoman Fernandez is out with an excused absence. She may be joining us later by Zoom, but she is excused for tonight's meeting. Ms. Ray, may we please have the Open Public Meetings Act statement?
Yes, Mayor. Adequate notice of this meeting of the Township Committee was sent to the Courier News Somerville, Bernardsville News Whippany, and to all subscribers, and posted at the Township Municipal Building on January 10th, 2023.
Great, thank you. Please join me in standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, this is the time of the meeting that we open up the lectern up here or the Zoom for public comment. So any member of the public wishes to make a statement, now is your opportunity to do so. Anyone, first we'll go with anyone in person. None. Okay. So we have two attendees of the public joining us on Zoom. If you are interested in making a public comment, now is the opportunity to do so. Click on raise hand on Zoom, and Ms. Ray will put you into queue for public comment. You don't have to make a public comment, but you have the opportunity. And raise hand is where? Take your cursor, scroll down to the bottom of the page. I think it was Bob who told me it's not on participants, but on reactions. Robin's testing me out to make sure.
I'm not seeing any comments.
Okay,
there.
no comments. We will move on with the meeting. We have one set of meeting minutes to approve. That's February 17th. It's a regularly scheduled Township Committee meeting at 7 p.m. Questions or comments regarding the meeting minutes that have not already been provided to Ms. Ray?
Is it the 17th or the 6th? The minutes that are in our book say the 6th.
It should be the 6th.
Okay.
Correct, right.
Okay. In there.
Good catch.
We'll approve the minutes, Mayor.
Good catch on the
A
agenda.
lot of errors.
Take a motion to approve meeting minutes?
Yeah.
You just made that?
Yes, Mayor.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 permits and raffles to go through. Let's see, Robin, does anything need individual consideration?
No, Mayor, unless you wanted to do the seasonal farm market permit by itself as a standalone.
No, I'm okay, but we'll just announce it. So the first is an annual seasonal farm market permit for Donlon Brewworks LLC at the Bedminster Farmers Market. And that will run from May 17, 2023 through December 9, 2023. That coincides obviously with the Bedminster Farmers Market. Next, excuse me, is a social fair permit to benefit American Cancer Society on October 29, 2023 from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. at Hamilton Farm Golf Club, 1040 Pottersville Road. Next is the social fair permit to benefit the Lamington Presbyterian Church on May 5, 2023 from 6 to 8:30 p.m. at the Lamington Presbyterian Church, 355 Lamington Road. Next is a social fair permit to benefit the Junior League of Morristown, Inc. on May 5, 2023 from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. at Hamilton Farm Golf Club, 1040 Pottersville Road. Next is an on-premise merchandise raffle to benefit the Center for Great Expectations on April 14, 2023, from 11:30 a.m. to 2 p.m. at Fiddler's Elbow Country Club. Next is an on-premise merchandise raffle to benefit the Center for Contemporary Art on April 30, 2023, from 3 to 5 p.m. at the Center for Contemporary Art. And the last is an off-premise merchandise raffle to benefit Children's Specialized Hospital Foundation on July 24, 2023, from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. at Hamilton Farm Golf Club. Any questions or comments regarding those raffles and permits? So none, take a motion to approve all of them.
So moved.
Second?
All in favor? Thank you.
Let's go to monthly report discussion by subcommittee chair, Committeeman Stevenson.
Thank you, Mayor. Had a historic preservation meeting since our last meeting. Nothing really to report back. It went well. Some applications were granted in the ordinary course. Public Works did some work up on Ski Hill Drive, cleaning out some of the catch basins, other areas around town. And here tonight. Everybody's got any questions about DPW, but it's really all I've got to report on.
Well, I do want to, well, you mentioned Kevin. Just want to say congratulations and thank you, Kevin, for negotiating with New Jersey American Water on the paving for Ski Hill. Doug, you just want to give a quick recap?
Sure. When folks will remember, the water company was coming through the northern part of town, replacing the water mains up and down the streets. They're opening the roads, and then typically they'll then come back through and pave over what they opened. Ski Hill Drive was the topic of gas lines, sewer lines, water lines, and so the water company thought that because we had it in our pavement management plan coming up, and that we were thinking about these other projects, that perhaps they were relieved of having to pay for repaving half the street. So Kevin was able to convince them otherwise, and was able to procure a nice check. So what's even better about that is that we're not dealing with a pavement that we've got to now try to work with. We can be done on our own schedule, so that's very beneficial. And while we're on Ski Hill, I will also mention that Kevin and his team was able to get up and address one of the problem areas that we've had for years with my neighbors about water coming down the hill. There's a natural culvert that water is supposed to find and go down to. It had been clogged, buried over the years, and was not catching and going down. It was running down the street. So Kevin had his folks up there recently clean that all out. So props to Kevin jumping on that.
Great job, Kevin. And once again, as an attorney, we write emails trying to get people to come around on their positions, and the form of email communication, we try to keep it short and tight. And Kevin, the email that you sent to New Jersey American Water, disabusing them of the notion that they could not pave and not pay Bedminster for the equivalent paving, was well written, concise. You got immediate positive response. So thank you, Kevin, for that. Great job. For sure. Committeeman Hickey.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, all. Board of Health, there was no meeting in February because there were no applications. However, the board is currently investigating having someone come out and conduct defibrillator training for the public. It's a skill, obviously, we should all have, and hopefully none of us ever have to use. But that will be forthcoming over the next couple of months, so we'll keep you posted.
Great.
And that's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Committeewoman Moreski.
Good evening, Mayor. Good evening, everybody. Real quick for me, Friends of the Jacobus Vanderveer House, we had a meeting last week, and nothing too big, but they were brainstorming with some new ideas for programs. In particular, looking to do partnerships with local businesses and organizations, mostly to raise awareness for the house and the barn, and to raise some funds. And quick reminder about JVH events, Field of Honor. The flags go up on the 13th, the Field of Honor and Armed Forces Day celebration is May 20th. The summer soiree is June 3rd. Real quick on the Environmental Commission, just a reminder that the 33rd Annual Stream Cleanup is April 15th. March 1st is when you guys can sign up for the Bedminster site, which we have all kind of sectioned off
When you
because
say you guys, you mean we?
except
Right.
that I can never get there because
Okay.
I'm always teaching on Saturday, so I am not a part of this wonderful event. But it will be a great day. Deb Tagliari will take over, so whoever wants to sign up, be prepared to get on the website at March 1st.
Great, and I just
that's all
want
I
to,
have.
and once again, want to thank both Deb Tagliari and EC Chair Dawn March for working with RHA to make sure that the River Road section for the cleanup is reserved for Bedminster folks. So whether it's Township Committee or the Environmental Commission or any other folks that that is one of the areas that's designated for us. So keeps the Bedminster folks being able to do the stream cleanup in Bedminster proper. So thank you, Dawn and Deb, for getting that out. So for me, it's actually for a quiet month. We do have an upcoming farmers market meeting next week. There was no land use board, applications to either planning board or zoning board. However, in the first week in March, we will be considering master plan topics. I think I've mentioned that before, and some of the items that I've been putting on that agenda have been growing. So we will be talking about some master plan issues at the planning board meeting. That's March 2nd. And Committeeman Hickey and I attended the library board meeting. That was last week. And I earlier had a meeting that day that was Wednesday. And I'm leaving my meeting up in Gladstone and I'm coming down 206. And I was on the phone, hands-free, with Committeeman Hickey. I say, Colin, what's going on at the library? There's cars double parked and they're up and down. There's just packed. Colin says, it's probably Marie's Mahjong day. Well, that night we had a library board meeting and I asked Marie, what was going on? And she goes, oh, it was Mahjong Wednesday. They had 61
Jesus,
attendees on February 15th.
can the library hold that many people?
Barely. And so they're actually going to a second Mahjong session, right? I guess that's what they call it. So they're actually going to 2 sessions because they are filled up. And those 61 will probably still be there on Wednesday, but now they'll have the second session that can actually accommodate new people are coming in to continue to play Mahjong
Nice.
at the library. So the library is doing a great job. Once again, if you haven't had the opportunity, go to the new Clarence Dillon Public Library website. Light years better than what we had before. It's really just fantastic, and Marie's doing a great job there. Colin, anything else that I missed from library board?
Just that we're reviewing the budget and, kind of taking it apart line by line like we do here at the township committee level. And I guess we'll work on the approval for that next month.
Okay, that's what we have. Ms. Ray, the administrator's report, please.
Yes, Mayor. To start off with the shared municipal court, Court Administrator Terry Van Allen actually retires the end of March 31st. And we are in the process of conducting interviews. We'll be conducting interviews actually this Thursday, February 23rd. The review panel is made up of the current court administrator, 2 township employees, myself, and Amanda from Human Resources, as well as 2 members from the Vicinage 13 Division of Courts, and Municipal Court Judge House will be participating as well. The shared municipal court, the updated security plan and the shared municipal court agreement is still under review by Judge Kevin Shanahan. So we'll hope to hear back from that, and then we'll schedule our shared court municipal budget meeting for the second week in March is what we're targeting with the other towns right now, which should be plenty of time for us to make any adjustments if needed. And sewer utility, we have a sewer utility meeting scheduled for February 28th this week. Not this week, next week at 7 p.m. And the purpose of the meeting is to review the planned improvements for the Miller Lane Pump Station, as well as to review New Jersey American Water's letter that we recently received regarding the rate study, the pending rate study that's coming up. And we are now working with PPAC Gladstone and Far Hills to schedule a sewer transmission advisory board meeting to review our operating and capital budget for 2023. There's a reserve fund that we've found that's been on our books for a little while, which will allow us to purchase a sewer camera, which we think is much needed at this time. So that's a win. And as far as engineering goes, on Friday, Friday, March 10th, I'll be attending an information session with regarding a DEP grant opportunity, which is for this new stormwater management compliance. They are, we've now moved from a tier B to a tier A, along with 100 other small towns that are primarily located in the western portion of New Jersey, which is us, Far Hills. And under that, the DEP is making $19 million in grants available to all the communities. They understand their guidelines are pretty strict. For us smaller guys, we can apply for up to $75,000 in grants to help us with a lot of the mapping that the tier A, that the normal tier A municipalities already have. That's a compliance, pretty costly compliance that we have to put into play this year. And already existing.
Robin, was that the email that came out this morning from DP regarding the stormwater management grants?
Yes, yep. And the tier B towns can actually apply for up to $25,000. So $75,000 should be a nice help for us. We did increase our budget this year to $40,000 from 15 to 40 to try to accommodate that. So and that concludes my report.
Okay, so we will move on. We have no ordinances to introduce tonight. We do have a public hearing for one ordinance, and that is ordinance number 2023-001. This ordinance would authorize the funding of a capital project for improvements to the Miller Lane Pump Station. I'll take a motion to open the public hearing for ordinance number 2023-001.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, so Robin, why don't you walk us through the ordinance? I think we've talked about this for a couple of years, but let's have a reminder.
Okay, sure. So this ordinance actually puts into place the 1.47 million that we will be getting from Somerset County. So we have to actually take it into our budget. So that's the sole purpose for this ordinance. We've already been awarded the 1.47. We went out to bid for a sewer engineer, and that bidding ended closed, I should say, I think it was last Thursday morning. And we just need to now move forward with our planning and get this project built. So that's what this does. It allows us to be able to use the money right away for the project.
And so just a reminder, so we have a grant from Somerset County, and Somerset County received its funding from the American Rescue Plan.
Correct.
So the funding is coming directly to us through Somerset County. Does this allow us to take the 1.47 into our accounts, or is it a reimbursement scenario?
So the first bill that we get, we're going to present to the county planner, county planning and engineering division, and that first bill will start as a reimbursable, and then the rest comes all in one chunk.
Okay. And where do we stand on actual estimates for completing the project?
So I have to go back. I don't want to just give you a number off the top of my head. I have to go back and review all the bids because they all came. We had about 11 different bids that were received. So they're in and around the range. Some of them were as low as 1.1, and others were 1.3.
Okay. All right. Any questions or comments for Ms. Ray?
do we get that whole sum, no matter what we pay for
We will.
the thing?
We will, and we are more than likely are going to have, change orders that are going to happen as a result of that. So that kind of is factored into that 1.47.
Oh, that 147 we'll go through that.
Right, because don't forget, that's just for the sewer, that's for the, the engineering, and then we have the design, and then we have the actual construction of it, so I'll get there. We've already had some bills already, so.
Okay, so there's bills that have been accumulated, so once we pass the ordinance, then we can start the process for reimbursement and receiving the rest of the funds from the county. With that, I'll take a motion to open the opportunity for public comment on ordinance number 2023-01.
So moved?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
So if any member of the public or anyone from our sewer advisory board who wishes to make a statement regarding the ordinance, which would allow us to fund the capital project for the Miller Lane pump station, now is the opportunity to do so. You can take your cursor, scroll down to the bottom of the screen, click on reactions, not participants, click on reactions and click on raise hand.
I'm not seeing any comments, Mayor.
Seeing no comments from the public and no further questions from the Township Committee, I'll take a motion to close the public hearing for ordinance number 2023-01.
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, with that, I'll take a motion to accept free money from the county
So moved.
Second.
for a project we desperately need. I forgot to say that.
Second.
Okay, thank you. Roll call vote, please. Mr. Stevenson?
Aye.
Mr. Hickey?
Aye.
Ms. Moreski?
Aye.
And Mayor Jacobs?
Aye.
Thank you.
So with the approval for ordinance number 2023-01, obviously want to thank the Somerset County Commissioners for supporting this project. And also just a reminder that the improvements to the Miller Lane pump station not only benefit residents here in Bedminster, but that the Miller Lane pump station serves as the pump station for sewage flow coming from Far Hills and from PPAC Gladstone. So this is a multi-jurisdictional, we can call it another shared service. So this is just, it's going to be welcome, improve the situation we have down here with odor and flooding issues, and Kevin is still here, and the constant maintenance by DPW to keep it essentially working as it has been. So this will actually be a tremendous improvement, and we're calling it improvements to the Miller Lane pump station. But in essence, we're rebuilding it. So it'll be essentially a new pump station rather than one that was cobbled together when the pump station actually was the treatment facility for Bedminster. So just want to thank everyone who was involved, especially Robin, who put the grant application together with Rodney and Catherine in presenting it to Somerset County for their consideration. So thank you, guys. We have 5 items on the consent agenda. Unless anyone wants to pull any resolution off for specific consideration. Take a motion to approve the 5 resolutions on the consent agenda. So
Second?
Roll call vote, please. Mr. Stevenson?
Aye.
Mr. Hickey?
Aye.
Ms. Moreski?
Aye.
And Mayor Jacobs?
aye.
Thank you.
We do have 2 resolutions that are not on the consent agenda and do require individual consideration. First is resolution number 2023, authorizing the agreement with Bank of America for the use of procurement cards. Ms. Ray, what's our procurement card situation?
So Mayor, from time to time, we have purchases that we do need to make that are outside of the regular purchase order system that we use. We have companies that don't necessarily take credit cards. I'll give you a perfect example. The other day, we used to go through a distributor for a lot of our software, and we use QuickBooks to bill for the DPW interlocal with Bar Hills, for the library, and for other various things. So with that, QuickBooks needed to be renewed, and the only way we could renew it, because it's no longer a third party, is you have to go directly to the company itself. And they do not work with municipalities as far as the purchase order system goes. So this has been happening to us. So I had to put it on my personal credit card, which was whatever it was, $500 or $600. We have the same thing with Network Solutions. Network Solutions is a website host provider, and they do not work with municipalities, although they host so many municipalities' websites, but they only take credit cards. So it would be for these types of purchases that would be capped. It would be for emergency purposes as well. Let's say, for example, DPW is in the middle of a job and they underestimated the amount of plywood that they were going to need. This allows them, they don't have an account set up somewhere. This would allow them to go out and purchase so many sheets of plywood to finish that particular job, so it doesn't have open ends. It's becoming a practice that other municipalities have been using. This is nothing new to municipal government. It's new for us. And it's something that we thought about doing for quite some time, and ran the idea by our auditor, by John Bellardo, our municipal attorney, although I'm pointing at Kathleen, and Deborah Stern, the CFO. They use it in some neighboring municipalities and it works well. Although we've decided to put some more detailed controls in place on this by limiting the amounts. With the procurement card, the card has to be actually in someone's name. It can't just be a Township of Bedminster card that gets passed around from hand to hand. So one would be in my name, one would be in Kevin Murray's for DPW, one would be in Frank Bernardo's for the police chief. And then we also talked about another one, I can't remember what it was for all of a
I
sudden.
think for recreation.
Thank you, for recreation. And often Neil at times has to do some last minute trips. You have a child that adds on to, let's say they're going to Dorney Park and you have a child that adds on that day. You don't want to turn the child away, but we already have to cut a check prior to arriving based on a certain number of individuals. Using the procurement card, he would be able to, on the spot, then add on 2 or 3 or 4 children so that they could attend the trip. So
How about for IT, since that always seems to be an area of urgent need?
Give me 1 second,
pops
let me
up.
just turn to where I was and my information about it. So I'll give you some examples. Yeah, in the past, IT has done that a lot. So yes, it would be also affecting IT. We had a Zoom upgrade at the amount of $535, so that's an IT procurement. Let's see, we also had Neil had $1,800 just in the past year and a half of reimbursable expenses. It just takes it out of you're giving the employees money, you're reimbursing them, and it's not a good look. Auditors frown upon it and suggested that this might be a good way for us to go. There's local finance notices that are put out by the Division of Local Government Services on the matter that have been going out since 2012, so this is not a new concept. And
Certainly from an IT perspective, all these companies are moving towards a service delivery model through, a subscription, as opposed to you buy a physical piece of software that's invoiced. So we're going to see more and more of this as we go along. You mentioned Zoom, but it's all types of services. You mentioned hosting for a website, firewall services, all kinds of things where you're signing up for an annual subscription for a year or two, and they bill through credit card these days, and that's all they do.
Yeah, but that's something that our administrator could use. It's not like we need to have a separate one for IT, right? IT can just.
You can run it through the administrator. Oh, yeah. No, I'm just saying.
Correct.
Yeah, I'm thinking when more of an emergency situation, we're having a meeting, our camera breaks, we need to go out to, run to Best Buy, get a camera. This will allow IT or someone else to have a Bedminster card and do that rather than a reimbursement program.
so we're going to limit it to 4 cards at this particular point. In this range right now, what we're doing here is just strictly seeking approval for the concept for the township to do it and identifying the policies and procedures. At our next township committee meeting, should this be, should this be considered, what we will do is put a resolution, we actually have it together, for a monthly spending limit. So it would be under administration, under my name, it would be $1,000, which would cover the IT expenses. Chief Bernardo would be $750, Public Works would be $2,000, and Recreation would be $750. Now, we don't anticipate using this just to go out and make purchases. It's got to have some teeth to it. There's got to be a bona fide reason why we need to do this. So it's maxed at $4,500 would be the exposure that we would have as a municipality in a given month. But
And that's limited in the P card itself with Bank of America?
correct. Yep, we would set limits on that. And if we needed to change it, we'd have to come back to you for township committee approval to change that. But we thought that this was a really good starting point, just based on some of the history that, we've had in the past, where we've reimbursed the various department heads for unusual expenses that are needed to keep the departments running.
And so what we have before us tonight are actually two resolutions. Resolution number 2023-038, which authorizes the agreement with Bank of America for acquiring the procurement cards, and resolution number 2023-039, which establishes some of the policies and procedures that Robin was just walking through. So I just want to make sure everyone has the opportunity to go through really primarily resolution 2023-039 before we take any action on either resolution. Just give us a few moments.
So I would like to point out that Committeeman Hickey had a good comment that we actually got together with our auditor and Attorney Bellardo earlier today and the CFO to kind of tighten up some of the language. The resolution 2023-039, the policies and procedures, was actually combination of other P card resolutions that we've seen, and what we decided to do, thank you, Committeeman Hickey, for picking up on that, was that we put a clause under the utilization of the P cards under item number 1C, that P cards cannot be used for purchasing from state contract vendors pursuant to NJSA 40A:11-12, or vendors subject to bidding pursuant NJSA 40A:11-3. And that was important language to actually put in there. It really wasn't very clear, it didn't jump out at you, so now we've made that clear. And we also talked about spending limits. If you go to page 2 of the resolution 2023-039, again in policies and procedures, under spending limits number 4, we added item B that says, in the event of an emergency, the P card may be used in accordance with the policies and procedures set forth in the purchasing policy procedure manual and NJAC 5:34-6.1, and that was actually identified in a prior 2019 local finance notice that had to do with Hurricane Ida, that if there was an incident, it could only be spent on that particular incident.
Subject to limits.
Subject to the limits, right? And if you needed to, you'd have to have an emergency meeting of the governing body to change that amount.
That makes sense.
And Robin, do you know if we're subject to the payment of interest rates under the agreement with Bank of America?
You know what? We talked about that last week, actually. I have to refresh my memory on that. But I believe there is an interest rate. Ooh, where is that? I'm so sorry, but I have the agreement here. Just give me 1 second and I can tell you. Because there's an additional agreement that we need to sign that goes along with this. You know, I'm
I'm going to
like,
assume that when the invoice comes in from Bank of
here
America,
it is.
that this is going to be, is this going to be a Visa card or this is going to be a Chase?
I haven't worked out those details. I believe it is going to be just a Visa card that we'll be able to use. And let me see.
And so when we go through the invoice
60
process,
On 7.
it's just going to
Visa.
be one invoice. It's not going to be broken down by DPW.
Well, we'll all have our own card numbers, so
Right.
yes, each one will have its own card number, so you'll know who's spending what
Okay, so it's coming
on the
in,
statement.
so it's going to come in as
Right, so I may
one
be
statement
00,
or?
it'll come in as one statement, but you'll see all the charges for, let's say I'm 001, all the charges for 002 and 003, however the
Yeah.
cards are numbered, all on one statement. Sorry, I didn't mean that in any way, we're just kind of close to each other that way.
Robin, I understand, you're number one. Chief?
Sorry.
Robin got dibs on the numbers.
But on 2C, the cardholder is responsible to determine that the price quoted for a product or a service is the best price that can be obtained. That's kind of onerous. The best price, really?
Well, I mean.
Especially if it's for an emergency.
Yeah, I mean.
Right, well, that's, if it's an emergency and the best price is what we can find, that it is what it is. I mean, right now, we're obligated to find the best possible price we can for purchasing items. We always source everything that we get and look at multiple vendors just to make sure. It has to do right down to the office supplies that we purchase. We have multiple contracts. We have a Staples account, we have Office Concepts, and we also have WB Mason. So whenever we buy office supplies, if their paper clips are cheaper that week at WB Mason, that's where we go.
And Kathleen, and for those who don't know, John Bellardo is not here, so we have Kathleen Fennelly from McElroy Deutsch as our township attorney tonight.
Thank you for allowing me to appear.
So John's gone through this, and you're comfortable that with these, looking at resolution 2023-039, card policies and procedures, and it's consistent with what you've seen at other municipalities.
Yes, we are comfortable.
Any further questions or comments regarding either 2023-038 or 039?
Is there anything in here that says that we will be paying it in completely for the month? So we don't get,
Additional interest charges.
exactly.
Well, it
Is
says
that what we're-
under the last section 8, that the role of the QPA is to reconcile all transactions monthly and submit clearance.
Okay,
So that really falls onto
Interest.
when we get and the township committee. So when each committee member gets their invoices for individual review and approval, that they do that. So ultimately, we could be the holdup of those payments. But good question.
I'm gonna have to get back to you on the interest.
Well, I think, just as Renee said, if presuming it's paid when the invoice comes out,
they'd be.
and I know it's probably going to be Visa, not an Amex, but those interest rates really should be pretty minor. If it's just
If
1
any.
month. So if there's no further comments, I'll take a motion. We'll approve these sequentially. First, the resolution for 2023-038, authorizing the agreement with Bank of America for the use of procurement cards. So motion to approve.
So,
Second?
Roll call vote, please. Mr. Stevenson?
aye.
Mr. Hickey?
Aye.
Ms. Moreski?
Aye.
And Mayor Jacobs?
Aye. And next, resolution number 2023-039, establishing the procurement card policies and procedures. Motion to approve.
So moved.
Second?
Roll call vote again, please. Mr. Stevenson?
Aye.
Mr. Hickey?
Aye.
Ms. Moreski?
Aye.
And Mayor Jacobs?
Aye.
Thank you.
And thank you, Robin, thank you, Kathleen, and thank you, John, and Colin for working with Robin to put this package together, especially for this policies and procedures. And we'll be discussing the next resolution at our next meeting in March.
Actually, I just have to add, it was Sarah who did a really terrific job putting this all together and researching the local finance notices and preparing the documents. So.
Great. So please extend our appreciation to Sarah. And I'll take a motion to approve the bill list pending review of individual invoices.
Second.
Roll call vote, please. Mr. Stevenson?
Aye.
Mr. Hickey?
Aye.
Ms. Moreski?
Aye.
And Mayor Jacobs?
Aye. Okay, any matters for discussion under new business? All right, let's go to old business because we usually have a fair amount to discuss. Ms. Ray, Chief Kevin, any updates on the DOT discussions regarding the guardrail extension on Route 206? We're going to have a little more, flesh out some ideas of what could be done if DOT is not going to proceed with guardrails extension, what the alternates could be, and then on the signage in Pluckman.
Do you want to hit guardrails? You want me to?
Kevin, we're going to need you up at a microphone.
But not that one, because it
Actually,
doesn't
this
work.
one right here.
Yeah, not, yeah.
So you chose incorrectly. Sit down.
No, you can stand up. Oh, geez.
Oh,
We're stuck.
Oh,
There you
now
go.
you're on plugs.
There you go.
Oh,
That's all you got.
Get one of those speed cars and we're going to need a new extension cord.
So Chief Bernardo and myself went out and met with the DOT. They're not going to budge on the guardrail. However, we did speak to them. They will add as much signage as we want to post it, and we will be abandoning the parking area from 206 into the pond. And we're putting post and rail fence up, and taking the garbage cans out, taking all the signage down, and hopefully just allowing that to regrow back in. So
Good.
that's our long-term plan. I'm looking to do that next month before the season gets too warm, where people are using it.
And when does because the fishermen will sure to be complaining. And we may want to put up a sign saying park at River Road and take the pedestrian bridge over, because there will be complaints. Do we know when this river gets stopped? It's gonna be, is that April?
April, I believe.
Yeah.
March, April, yeah.
Okay.
So that's the plan.
Okay,
So post and rail fence, removing the gravel that's there. We're gonna plant grass seed and hopefully everything grows in nicely. Maybe we're looking at maybe wildflower, something that'll actually come in and grow up high, and we can just mow it once a year and just maintain it from there. So,
good luck.
and we trample that.
Yeah, exactly. And any updates on the signage in Pluckman?
So that would be me.
Okay,
I kind of threw the DOT a curve because there's a couple different departments that are working, a couple different engineering departments, right? There's one for signage, there's one for the DOT with the guardrails, and then there's another that does the crosswalk studies. So the crosswalk study came out, and remember, I think I told you at the last meeting, added on several additional signs, which is what we don't necessarily want there. So I tried to put the two of them together, and Meredith is working that out with the two
okay.
independent groups, and we'll get back to me.
So hopefully if they put new signage up, that gives them the opportunity to take some of the old,
Right, the whole area.
outdated signage, which apparently is not even up to DOT's code, according to Paul Ferraro. And I think, well, we look forward to hearing what they have to say about that. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Utilities, Committeeman Hickey.
thank you, Mayor. Altice, I have no update, just beside the fact that I remind them on a regular basis that spring is coming. Let's get busy planning for the construction, but hopefully I have an update next time on that. JCP&L, I've been following up on the issues and action items that we discussed at our meeting 2 weeks ago. So I thank Yolanta profusely the day after our meeting, and then said, we got a lot of work to do. So I will continue to follow up on those items. And again, look to report out on that at the next meeting.
So we talked about, once again, reactivating that subcommittee.
Correct.
With representatives from the associations.
Correct. We'll do that. And I mentioned that to her as well, that we'd like to get that done sooner rather than later. So I'll look to get the first meeting off the ground probably within the next month.
And still nothing from Yolanta on actually making some of these improvements, and most glaring, that transformer box
That switch box at the base
at the
of,
base of Schley and that just
terrible.
it's embarrassing. I don't see how they can
I agree.
drive by that and not want to fix that.
Exactly.
If you drive by, you just see it's just covered in black electrical tape, and it's not even, it doesn't even look like the tape was applied like.
It's kind of, it looks pretty amateurish, right? And
Yes.
as Kevin can tell you as well, that's an area during very, very heavy rain that will flood and has flooded in the past. So having that exposed like that does no one any good.
Okay. So if at the next meeting, you just let us know if the subcommittee is going to get together and
Yep.
prepare a list of items. I know you've sent some follow-up to Yolanta, other than thanking her for attending the meeting, but also we compiled our notes together.
Yep, I bullet
that
pointed
message
everything
off.
out, so she's, but I will remind her. I can be real pest.
Okay. And Doug, I know we've had discussions on Pluckman Park housing situation. Have you heard anything further from the current owners?
Nothing from the current owners. They still owe us their proposal, but seems to have been put on ice.
All right, in the meantime, Committeeman Stevenson and I have been coordinating with John Blardo, our attorney, on looking at other alternatives to see some improvements there. So I'm not in a position to discuss those tonight. That's it for old business. We do have an executive session. So we will be we'll be going through Township Committee comments. We will adjourn to executive session. And when we return from executive session, we will not be taking any formal action. We have no resolutions on board. So we will go to executive session and come back to public session for final adjournment for the night. So with that, let's go through Township Committee comments. We'll start with Committeeman Stevenson.
Thank you, Mayor. No comments.
Mayor, I have no comments.
I would just like to extend the invitation to all the committee people once again to visit the cantonment model at JVH. I know you guys are really busy and it's hard to get everybody together, but I was thinking perhaps on May 20th for the Field of Honor, if you guys could come over and visit, and we'll have some of the JVH trustees show you this model. You really need to see it. It's really exciting. I think you'd really enjoy it. So invitation extended, let me know and I'll put it together.
Yeah, so I've seen the cantonment at Colonial Christmas. It's neat, right? Because it sets up the way Pluckman cantonment, the way the officers, where their barracks would be, where the enlisted men, where their barracks would be, where the training session was, where the artillery training was taking place. It's neat, and it is very detailed. And in my mind, I'm still trying to figure out where it was situated in the hills. And it's because it doesn't, you look at it and you try to figure out how did that lay out over what we have today. Now, certainly we have Artillery Park and we have a lot of the roads that reflect that history, but there's really no remnants of that encampment in town. So you sort of have to visualize where it would be, and that's where the folks from JVH are really great at doing that. So great reminder, Renee, thank you so much. It's our Mardi Gras night. Tomorrow's Ash Wednesday, so I don't know, what do you say? Say nothing.
No, probably nothing.
For us, it's
All right.
Fat Tuesday,
Fat
so
Tuesday.
eat up.
Eat up tonight, and for those who observe, Lent starts tomorrow. Okay. With that, I'll take a motion to adjourn to executive session.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, we'll be back for final adjournment later in the night. Okay, Township Committee is back from our executive session. We have no further business on tonight's agenda. It is 8:04. I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you and good night.
Good night.
Thank you.
Oh.
Wow,
God.
that's loud.